Hey, friends, greetings in the name of the Most High. I am Jacque Howard. Thank you for taking some time and spending it with me on one of my podcasts. This is part of the Trenton 365 series. The Trenton 365 show is like a catch-all for all the things that I'm doing. I'm involved in so much, but the most important thing is building relationships with other human beings and encouraging you in the listening and viewing audience to get in contact with them. These human beings have skills and talents that I don't, and I admire them. And I'd like to have more people who I know admire them as well. In just a moment, I'm going to be bringing on Laranah Phipps. Lala is her name. And if you do some research, she's from New Jersey originally, but she's been around the world producing, singing, directing, curating, etc. And it's a wonderful opportunity that I have to bring her to you, especially during this time, because she's got a bunch of new things that are happening. Not only new music and what she's doing with Kool and the Gang, but some side projects and some ancillary business opportunities. And she's always willing to talk to folks and share about her expertise, etc. So I'll encourage you to get in touch with her. In addition to that, make sure that you go over to all the social media sites and check them out, because there's a lot of things that are happening in the Trenton 365, Bridge to Vote, Library Boxes of Trenton, Trenton 365 Performing Arts, Capital City Rollers, Trenton Cycling Revolution, etc. And 30 minutes once a week is not enough for me to compile everything that I've been doing, which is why I like to encourage everyone to get a writing utensil, piece of paper, and take a whole bunch of notes. With that being said, greetings to Laranah Phipps. Now, Lala, as you are
Peace and
so
blessings.
affectionately known by, I'd like for you to just kind of give a brief introduction to the listening and viewing audiences, a little bit about who you are and your family, because I want
Mhm.
people to recognize that this is multi-generational. This isn't something that you just came up with on your own. This is something that is generational, and it's important for us to recognize that generational wealth is also in talents and skills and opportunities that are handed down. I'll let you take over.
This is true. Well, peace and blessings to you, and thank you so much for having me on this amazing platform of yours that is taking the world by storm. And congratulations to
Thank you.
you and all of your efforts. My name is Laranah Phipps, and I hail from the Phipps family, Newark's first family of jazz. My father is Eugene Phipps Sr. Inside of the Phipps family is this glorious, tenured male component, mostly musicians that have traveled the world, and more so than travel, have been um, directly um, inspirational in a lot of jazz musicians' careers, their starts, and they. My father, his first records with Decca that we have copies of, with his band, the Gene Phipps Orchestra, is dated 1944, and I'm going to make sure that you have a copy of that, not the physical record itself, but a photo and a copy of the recording. So, my family, Gene Phipps, my father, Nat Phipps, who's pianist extraordinaire, Newark in the 40s, um, his twin brother, my uncle Bill Phipps, saxophonist, with Dizzy Gillespie, and oh my goodness, we just could name them going. The Burner, the organ burner, and so many others. Um, and then there was my my aunt Angie, I'd like to throw her in the middle, who's also a musician, but she taught music in Newark. So she was the girl of the family and very much a part of the musical legacy. And she taught so many in the Newark School District music. And there's Harold Phibbs and my eldest uncle, Ernie Phipps, who was organist, pianist, and he really started. He's the eldest, so his his relationship in music was in the late 30s. So we're talking the history of jazz on the East Coast as it came up from New Orleans and places like that. And,
Yeah.
so, and then I would be remiss in my duty if we did not mention our brother, Wayne Shorter, who just passed. And I was just at his naming. He has a street named after him in Newark, and I was privileged to be amongst those people. Um, it's it's a glorious thing. But Wayne Shorter came out of my family's band. That's how he got his start. Yes,
You
and
know,
it's all that.
Lala, I mean, again, this isn't enough time. I'm getting chills over here thinking about, just some of the names and then the music that has come through, in that the lineage that you are part of. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit and just tell folks, look, Lala is doing some amazing stuff with real jazz. And she's really looking to do it in the city of Trenton and to do it in conjunction with some partners and to do it in conjunction with fitting the scene. And when I say that, we already have a lot of talented performing artists that are here that are doing things. We have jazz sessions,
Absolutely.
we have jam
Yeah.
sessions and things. She and I are of the understanding that we need more.
Yes,
We
we
need
do.
more
Yeah.
opportunities. We need more spaces. And Lala, I'd like for you to pivot and talk a little bit about some of the things that you'd like to see happen with real jazz, and explain what you mean by real jazz.
Oh, here's where the controversy comes in. Because after all, the question is not to be or not to be. The real question is, what is jazz? That's the real question. And many have stabbed at that answer. However, I agree with you. First of all, Trenton is such um, an amazing community for arts, and so many have come out of Trenton for jazz and other arts. Clifford Adams, Michael Ray, and so many others. Kim Miller, um, and just a host of folks. And I see that as you see all around communities, jazz, which used to be it was the institution for music. When you went to a live show, it was a jazz show you went to. And for so many reasons that we don't have time to talk about here, um, the places for showcasing jazz has decreased exponentially. And I believe that you must be able to show the art form that is the treasure of American society, um, in the neighborhoods, because the ones coming up, they can't just hear about it or read about it in a book. They have to experience it. And that is how it will move forward. There's been argument about, after Train and cats like my father and other cats, jazz has been at a standstill. And that's not true. I don't agree with that, but I do understand the thinking. You have to get jazz into the minds of the youth and the people so that they can interact with it and expand on it. And so I'd like to see um, more jazz, especially where I am. If I am in the community, there has to be more jazz because I am a product of jazz. It is my life's blood. I cannot breathe without it. So I'm thankful for the folks over at the Candlelight because they really are the main institution. Bradley and his beautiful wife Valerie, they've been holding down. The Candlelight has been a mainstay of jazz for many, many, many years, long before I got here. And we give thanks, and they do a more of a blues session on Thursday. So there's no jam session that's specifically and particularly slated for the jazz musician, the connoisseur of jazz, the jazz aficionado. And we want to, in Trenton, the capital city of New Jersey, we want to be able to be a hub for jazz in the capital city and offer a head cutting jam session for musicians coming out of New York, out of Philly, out of Jersey, North, South, that know that they can come and it's gonna be hardcore, eyeball staring, cats lined up on the walls, coming in fashion. Some of us, because we don't roll out unless we roll out highly, Um, yeah, I've had people say, "Well, where are you going?" To shop, right? But you have one. Yeah, well, I'm going to aisle 13. I mean,
Yes, yes, yes. Look, I got to get on camera with this.
yes.
You're good. Look, folks, this is what my conversations have been like with Laranah. Just busting at the gut, getting truth, bone splitting to the marrow about the industry, honesty, fashion, style. We don't have a lot of time in this, but I think you teased enough about
Oh, yes.
jazz jam sessions coming to
Yes,
Trenton.
we're coming. We're coming with it. Yes.
Listen,
On a weeknight.
yeah.
In which is a New Jersey tradition, we won't call it night, but Tuesday nights was traditional, especially in Newark at the Peppermint Lounge and other places. That was the night jazz cats will come out, but we haven't decided what we're going to do with a day, but it'll be a weeknight.
So Tuesdays was the thing. All right, I'm gonna keep that in mind
Tuesdays
as I
was
make
the
my
thing.
note. But oftentimes I think people don't understand artists from the business side, especially
Mhm.
ones who have the business acumen, who are involved in other things to provide revenue, to provide opportunities for exposure. You are someone who has their grip on what that
Ah,
is.
is
Can
that
you,
right?
can you talk about La Funkalicious? And then
Mm,
please, we'll finish up by talking about fashion.
absolutely. So La Funkalicious is my brand and my band. I like that. So we curated this whole album, which I'm sure we'll get into at another time. And the artist is Laranah Phipps and La Funkalicious. And La Funkalicious has taken on a life of its own. It is the name La Funkalicious comes out of the fact that the the frequency of the band is female. So my horn players are all female and vicious, with me fronting that thing. So it's full of fire and femininity and just mother-centered hardcore swing.
Yeah.
You know, who can swing better than a woman? I mean, it's like a no-brainer. And that's because I come out of these horn players, and I anytime I would listen to my father and my uncles and so many other cats that I was privileged enough to hear, um, that femininity in me was always at the top of it. And I began to think about, working with more female musicians, not a total female band. No, it's a co-ed band because that's a whole different element. But I believe that the yin and the yang, but with the females blowing the air because how we got us blowing air into the human and giving life. It's just this whole thing. And um, so from my band, we now have a cocktail, and it's called the La Funkalicious cocktail, and it is trending, starting the trend. We have New York on board, we have New Jersey on board. You can absolutely in Trenton come to the 1911 smokehouse and ask for a La Funkalicious cocktail, and they will serve it to you. It's purple, of course. You know, it's delicious, and it is creation of Moana. So
Mm,
that those are some of the things associated with La Funkalicious.
great. Now, I do want to talk about the fashion because you
Mhm.
are someone who pays a lot of attention to appearance. Being a front person
Yes,
in a family of musicians and entertainers and artists, I'm sure you were groomed that, hey, you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. You come out, be
absolutely.
ready to do your
Ready.
thing. Can you talk a bit about the importance of appearance and your own personal fashion sense? And can we touch on what you told me yesterday about everything, or at least something that you're going to wear every day?
Oh, absolutely. So your appearance is your first impression. We know this. We've been taught this from children. Um, the colors that you're wearing, your hair, you know, whether you're doing makeup or not, and how you present. Like I don't do, as you can see, my fingernails are not painted. I do that on purpose. I just, my rings speak for my color on my hands. Um, but fashion for me, I take to another level. And that was ingrained in me by my mother. Anyone who knew my mother, Connie, they called her Little Connie. She was a high fashionista in the 60s, 50s, and all of that. My mother, they told me, my mother was murdered when I was 16 years old in Newark,
Oh,
which is another whole nother story we could get into. But she would wear these high boots up to the thighs with these dresses, and she was a designer, and so she was in the color and textile and prints and things of that nature, and she passed that on to me. She taught me how to sew, and she gave me my love for fashion. And for, for me, I always have to have my culture in my fashion. If I'm in a slip, it's probably going to be tie-dyed, you know. And we call that Afrofuturism, a term coined by Sun Ra and others of his generation. I have been a student of Credo Mutwa, who's a South African um, uh, teacher, leader, but also has a perspective of we are not alone. And we can talk about, I'm just going to tease it, but we are not alone. It's very arrogant of us to think that in this expansive universe, multiverse, that we could just possibly be alone. But in that, my fashion represents um, my blackness, my Africanism, but and also my futurism, so you see shapes and things that suggest space, because like Sunrise said, space is the place, and that is true for me.
I think that is a perfect way for us to finish up. Laranah, Lala Phipps, thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to have you back very soon so we can start teasing out a little bit more about all the things that you're doing and let people know about how they can hear about your latest project. I'd like
Absolutely.
I'd like for you to have a last word and
Mhm.
share a little bit about the importance of family in the arts, like growing up and supporting young people in the arts community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, it's so important for arts to be the center of the family. And the proof of it is the news. When you look at the news now, because the children arts has been taken from schools. You know what I mean? There's very little music, there's no arts, there's no fashion, there's no culture, but there is chaos in the streets now because you have to keep the children interested in, first of all, themselves. They need to see themselves. And what better way to do it than art because it's self-expressive. You know what I mean? So and we need to be able to show art in our family. At our Thanksgiving tables, you know, the children should be able to draw pictures and you feature them on your walls like we had. You know, we would bring home our projects and things and we they would be displayed and we were doing cotillions and we were doing talent shows. You know what I mean? And some of us were involved in the after school paper and things of that nature. So we were writing and expressing our opinions. So these things are important because they help you to move into the arts community, which is the lifeblood of any and every community, whether it be today or going back in time. The artists, the celebrity is who you the politician and the celebrity and of course the priestess. Those three worked hand in hand at being the leader in the community. And so I believe that it's important for us to continue to instill these things in our own homes. And if I may, and I know we'll talk about this on another time, I do have a line of fashion which is a coat. It's a beautiful coat that you'll be seeing. And it's colorful and it has this beautiful Africanness all over it. And so on another day, if you would have me back, I'd like to talk more about that.
Oh, you are so welcome. And absolutely, you are going to be more than back just one time. I got a
Yeah,
feeling that
okay.
I got a feeling that the folks at Trenton 365 are going to get used to seeing Laranah Phipps on a
Oh, I
regular
like it.
basis, not only here on video and audio, but
Mhm.
maybe in person doing a little something as well.
Ooh,
Lala, thank you
okay.
so much. I
Ooh la
appreciate
la.
you. Ooh la la. And there you have it, folks. Another opportunity for you and yours to get in contact. Laranah Phipps, Laranah Phipps, historic Phipps family, based out in New Jersey, still available here in New Jersey, traveling the world doing all these wonderful things. And you can get in touch with her through Trenton 365. Maybe have her do a presentation at your small group. Maybe sing a performance. Hey, maybe you got a birthday or a celebration coming up and you'd like to have La Funkalicious perform. Maybe you
Ooh.
want to try a beverage, the beverage, La
Mhm.
Funkalicious beverage, available in Trenton in 1911 Smokehouse. I saw it yesterday.
Yes, you
Anyway,
did.
folks, Jacque Howard here. Remember, it's always about justice, peace, and humility.